Look at it! Vicious bugger! A leech! A leech! It's too strong! This one is mine! It's on you!
他被卡在那里，3个人围殴我。
Put an end to you!
I can't believe I'm doing this.
吃了第2只之后，他才想起这件事。
It's locked, all right.
Are you dead? Oh God, no! That leech is fast!
去。
I cannot enter.
This is no place for you, sir.
Emma.
Did you hear me?
必要高一点。这么好。OK。为什么我的魅惑等级还是1呀？我要怎么增加我的魅惑等级？谁呀？头症、头痛。不知道要怎么增加我的那个。好像是要过图形 ，OK， 好，所以我现在还不能大吸特吸。
As for me,
It's locked.
so many deaths, and still more coming. How can we be sure we're making a difference?
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
多吸多健康。
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick.
我真的要
I'll
多
see
吸
you later.
My sweet girl.
But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Keep anything from her.
Good evening, Mr.
I'm okay.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
I have to go now.
This hospital falling apart. But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
You always knew the words to calm the children.
A giant morgue disguised as a hospital.
不方便。我怕我的东西收到。尤其是武器，错过就完了。
This is despicable.
没有变强的感觉，这样。
I can't believe I'm doing this.
哇塞，湿的。
It's locked all right. Smells like rotten meat. One near, I know it's turn around if I were you.
哎，这太过分了吧！
Oh my god! That leech is fast!
拿着火把抽人。一会到底有钥匙找吗？
It's
Whitechapel. This neighborhood is linked somehow to the kind Lady Ashbury's blackmail. First, let's find this Petrescu fellow.
Its effectiveness has been proven by many.
What do you want? Leave me alone.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I'm looking for Nurse Dorothy Crane.
There is no Dorothy Crane here. Now goodbye.
I'm afraid this medical leaflet says the opposite, sir.
Really? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to close this door right now. Go bother someone else, Mr. Doctor.
To enter that house, I must discover who this man really is. Maybe I could start by observing what he's up to.
调查。
A strange man was at the door with a pass for our medical facility. I refused him entry.
Darius, how could you know he didn't need our help?
His clothes were too finely tailored to be from Whitechapel.
Perhaps just a friend of that stray poet who is always about.
Richard Nethercott? No, not of the same cloth, this man. I suspect some machination from that journalist.
Clayton Darby. Is he still asking questions?
Yes. I saw him drifting around St. Mary's Church. I swear he is tracking me just downwind.
I must talk to that journalist or the poet. They must know about Darius. Nearby the church they just mentioned. I cannot enter.
该不会是那个被杀的人吧？
Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid. Cheap price, good quality. Come on, take. Don't be afraid.
Excuse me, sir. I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off!
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say? It's quite a rare breed in this part of town.
Really? But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reed, at your service.
I'm Joe Peterson to some, but Colossus Joe to most. And I don't remember asking for your service, sir.
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes
我
even
想干什
more.
么就干什么。
Now sod
哎呦
off.
嚣张哦！
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does have quite a reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out.
Have you heard of a nurse named Dorothy Crane? She's a colleague of mine, and is supposed to live around here.
Dorothy Crane? Yeah, I know her. One of the few good souls who dare to help the sick around here.
Could you please tell me more about her?
She's a nice girl. Tries to help the migrants. I offered to give her a hand, but she said my reputation would attract too much attention.
他倒是对别人的问题 就是直接这样子讲出来的。他有3等。
Goodbye, Mr. P.
原来我才是最烂的那一个。
Welcome, sir. Please take a browse of my wares.
I am Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Doctor? Interesting. I'm Barrett Lewis. Usually I don't have time to waste with talk, but at this hour of the night I can hardly refuse.
How is business around here?
Business? I have no business. Between this racket, theft, and customers getting scared, I'm losing money every day.
I see. Sounds like you blame someone in particular for your situation.
It's no secret Joe Peterson spends his time harassing merchants. But with me, he's trying to put me out of business once and for all.
As a merchant, you see Whitechapel every day. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary recently?
Well, you mean besides the epidemic, the war, and all the usual crap? As long as I can remember, this part of town has been a bottomless pit, and no sign of the bottom yet.
Violence is increasing in the borough.
Yeah. A few nights ago, some blokes jumped me. Came out of one of the condemned workshops. Fever, madness, something like that.
Where did this happen? Why did you go there?
In the closed workshops nearby. I worked there as an apprentice in better days. Now I only go to find trinkets or tools. Too bad I was mugged, though. There was good money in that little box of loot I lost.
Have you been hurt?
No, but that's only because I ran like hell. Those men were raving lunatics, I tell you. Not even able to speak anymore, just screaming.
Have you heard of a nurse called Dorothy Crane?
Nurse Crane? So the bitch really is a nurse, then? Always thought she was just some crafty foreigner, that one.
这个宿舍医生当然都会，他只是帮忙。这两个好像都可以耶。
So she's trying to help her fellow immigrants. Why would that make her a villain?
Dorothy Crane ain't even a real name. Something like Dorothea Craniu. Something like that. Came to England fleeing the war, I was told.
That doesn't explain why she irritates you so much.
Your precious Nurse Crane gives away medical supplies and prescriptions for free. I offered to sell it for a fair cut, but no. Miss Crane wanted to play the quiet saint.
Right then.
怪猎兄弟。
Fancy Bob.
You never... Goodbye.
I know it's hard to believe, but it's this.
Forgive my interruption.
Do not apologize, my son. Father Tobias Whitaker is always happy to teach mortals about the incoming Armageddon.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reed, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences. And most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
I am. But the answers I seek are based on facts, not superstition. What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences. And most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
Well, I suppose I can spare a few minutes listening to your so-called truth.
As a doctor, you must be aware of the decimating epidemic. But let me tell you that this so-called Spanish flu is just the beginning of the end.
What do you mean?
The beast is finally revealing itself, corrupting the flesh and the heart of men. With my own eyes I have seen them, those minions from the abyss.
I have heard enough. Goodbye.
还没啊。
Good evening.
It's far.
What do you mean? Quite. Well, what? Really? And what would be your?
原来那个会直接结束对话。
We must fight the disease before this legion outnumbers us. But not with scalpels and microscopes. No.
What is left then?
Cleansing fire.
Tell me, Tobias, what exactly is your plan concerning the cleansing of this city?
God will recognize his own. More than once this city has risen from the ashes, hardened and purified by the flames.
科学是我们3年里印证，可是这3个都不是很想学。
Purification by fire has proved useful, but where do you stop? Burn the clothes? The buildings? The corpses? Worse?
Your lack of faith is predictable. But my task is to convince rational minds like yours to see the light. This is God's will.
You're mad and dangerous. You're nothing but a soulless butcher. A small-time Torquemada. The Savonarola of Whitechapel.
My son, if you think salvation is a free gift, go listen to the lies of that pompous fool, Joseph.
Joseph, a fool?
Vicar Larrabee of St. Mary's Church. While he continues preaching his fraudulent redemption, more and more people die in the streets.
Oh.
Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted. I send him to preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
Where did you send him?
I sent Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, where the pestilence and evil grows night after night.
You sent him on some preaching crusade during the epidemic.
As a true believer, Samuel will fear no
我怎么觉得他是把他的
while
儿
he
子推入火
walks through
坑
the valley of the shadow of death.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that Nurse Crane you mentioned.
So, you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work. But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
我觉得到时候可以
Why do you hate
魅惑
Nurse
他，我
Crane
应该
more
会魅
than
惑
other
他。
nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in our country. That's what happens when you let a woman get involved in politics.
哎，还歧视，是他无等啊！算你厉害，
I have heard enough.
放你一马。
The walls of your home will not protect you.
Don't be shy, handsome. What can Christina do for you?
I'm not looking for what you're selling. But I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed.
All right then, but be quick, though I usually get paid when I open my mouth.
Goodbye.
然后换个角度吧。
Good evening, Christina.
Change your...
Christina, have you been examined? The epidemic is spreading fast in London, and you could be exposed, or expose others.
I don't like doctors or hospitals, but I don't like you asking questions.
Considering your line of work, I assure you it is only a matter of time before you have health issues.
If it is going to happen, it will happen. Right now, I need money. That's what's important.
You can put your own life in danger, that's your decision. But what about your clients? If you're contaminated, you will put them in danger too.
And you think that would worry me? If you knew the men I deal with, their health would not be what you'd worry about.
Tell me about yourself.
Are you joking with me? People don't usually come to see me for conversation.
I have no interest in your work. I am, however, curious as to what led you into this career.
Short story. The war, exile, and England. This country is not especially welcoming. I've been refused many jobs because of where I am from. I had few options left.
这太坏了吧！出卖身体是你自己的决定，我会评判你。
I always thought I was the master of my own fate. But now I know we don't always have control over our lives. I don't judge you.
You know, this money is not only for me. I have good reasons to need this money quickly, but it is not your concern, Doctor.
Goodbye.
他们很烦呢。他喷那个到底是什么？武器吗？我觉得他这个比那个拿刀的那个，他在这里去错。根本就不用打那一区，谢喽。
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby, reporter.
Sorry, I'm new to Whitechapel. But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reed.
Dr. Reed, the famous surgeon. I'll gladly help if I'm able, sir.
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
死路吗？好像也还好。
I served in France. Our top priority must be to put an end to this butchery. This war must stop now.
Sir, streets are a battlefield too. An invisible and untold war is going on, and it must be stopped.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
有理性的。最近我的理性图在传达。
I'm convinced there is more at work here than a simple epidemic.
Really? To be honest, I could say the same. Some of the sick I saw or heard of. My God, what happened to them?
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth. I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
That's quite honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Christina Popper claims she sells her body because she can't find any other work. Do you believe her?
Of course I do. Her story is exactly what I want my readers to understand. We live in an intolerant and divided nation.
Do you think things will ever change, Mr. Darby?
I believe the situation can only improve. And now that women can vote, I'm convinced things will change.
I heard you're investigating an underground medical dispensary in Whitechapel. What do you know about it?
Not much, I'm afraid. They are wary of strangers, and I'm not really an acquaintance of theirs. Why do you care?
这是一个护士的行为不检，这是保密的，不能关心公众。我觉得我选这是保密的，他一定也不想告诉我。
I'm a doctor, Mr. Darby. I care about everything involving public health and this epidemic.
Are you sure you're not just concerned about the repercussions that a scandal involving a certain Nurse Crane from the Pembroke Hospital would bring?
Without a doubt, you are a damn fine journalist, Mr. Darby. What do you know of her accomplice, a man named Darius?
I don't know much about the man. He's very cautious, never goes out, doesn't seem to have any friends or family.
He has no relatives at all?
No, except for that strange man, a poet named Richard Nethercott, who sometimes comes by. Darius would never let him in.
Where can I find this Mr. Nethercott?
He spends most of his time lurking around Whitechapel, talking to himself or declaring verses. These days, you can usually find him behind the church.
He never goes out?
No. A few days ago, he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell.
哦，他是那个疯子。哦。
I'm cheap and I'm clean, I promise.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed. I'd like to ask you a few questions. I know what you're thinking. A tall stranger who meets a girl in the street at night. It reeks of the penny dreadfuls. But I mean you no harm, truly. I know you understand what I'm saying. Your silence has nothing to do with you being mute, does it? Camellia, I know you work for Dorothy Crane. Please tell me about her secret dispensary. A stubborn and mute comrade. Nurse Crane and Darius Petrescu have been clever. Very well. Goodbye then.
这样子我也可以对话，我也蛮不解。这边还要找到2个人。都是。抱歉，我已经几个月没有跟你们联系了，很贱。我知道这么说可能听起来有点自私，我的孩子。我要再回罗马里。OK。
The content of Darius' letter to his children could give me more leverage to enter. It's locked.
我不需要走到这里，这里属于。我走路怎么突然怪怪的？我突然开始自己。我怎么了？ 自己跑起来！等等，我不要知道，怎么突然自己跑起来了？Q 按住，对啊，走，切换。它没有自动跑步吗？ 哎，正常了，正常了，正常了。好。我怎么？
Against malevolence and trickery. You are blinded.
分身。越来越强。
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions.
Please be my guest. Although I may not be the best informant regarding this part of town, my words speak about that which the eyes cannot see.
Really? Are you an artist of some kind?
I'm a poet, sir. Richard Nethercott, at your service.
May I ask what you're doing at this hour of night, sir? Do you live here?
Not at all. I'm just enjoying the pleasure of a quiet walk. Though night talks are always preferable, if you ask me. Especially with strangers.
But are you not afraid of the epidemic?
Oh, why should I? I see some equity in the Spanish flu. No flesh should be saved, say the scriptures. Good or evil, rich or poor, all are equal in the eyes of the flu.
If you say so. But as a physician in a time of epidemic, I must caution you to avoid unnecessary exposure, sir.
Thank you, Doctor. But we both know the seeker of truth has to go boldly where the weak dare not.
What are your thoughts on the terrible situation in this city?
Terrible, you say? No. Of course, the death of so many innocents is a tragedy. But the scourge has not been all bad for the city. Oh, no, sir.
What are you talking about?
Do you remember London before the flu? Noisy, cacophonic, quiet nowhere to be found. And now, listen to this oddly peaceful silence.
这是独特的观点，隐秘的吗？
Peaceful? That's quite an unusual way to speak about the epidemic. And very inappropriate, I must say.
Most people fail to understand my perspective. I don't blame them. But how could I call myself a poet if I veiled my feelings?
Are you aware that your life could be in danger in this part of town?
But this is where I must be to feel the real beat of the city. I had to come, see it for myself, alone.
I understand your need for solitude, but it's not safe around here.
I don't care. I don't have many friends, Doctor, and my family despises me.
If some misfortune came upon you, who would be here to help you?
Well, you for a start, my dear Doctor.
真合理。
Tell me, Mr. Nethercott, why seek inspiration in Whitechapel?
The place is not beautiful per se, but how to explain it? Stirring and challenging.
Do you not think it a little morbid?
On the contrary, sir. Whitechapel is full of life, full of beauty. Just like my dear muse, the wonderful Camellia.
What can you tell me about Camellia?
Not much. And that's the beauty of it. She can't speak, you know. She's a locked mystery who exhales kindness and sweetness.
Perhaps you're just afraid to find out the truth about your muse.
One day, perhaps, I'll ask her to come with me. But will she still be my wild flower of Whitechapel if she moves uptown?
And have you ever tried to learn more about her? Where she lives? How she survives? Whom she may know?
Maybe I prefer she remains an enigma. Reality can be so dull, don't you think?
In what way, exactly?
The struggle by gaslight, the barren smiles and the added hunger under the rain.
If you say so.
Such vibrant antagonism and vivid paradox. The stripped humanity raged across each street.
Vivid, of course, yes. And what about the poignant distress?
Oh yes, the poignant distress. You see what I mean, don't you? That's what I want to write about, and that's what Whitechapel is made of.
不愧是诗人。
Did you know the Mute Florist is a member of a secret society?
No, I didn't. But I thank you for this information, sir. For it only enriches the mystery surrounding the precious camellia.
Are you not curious? Is there not more you wish to know?
That girl has not an ounce of malice in her. Whatever she may be hiding, it's certain to be for the benefit of most, if not all.
I fear you are a hopeless romantic, Mr. Nethercott.
Guilty as charged, Dr. Reed.
May I ask you a few questions about the district?
Extraordinary part of town, is it not? I'll be glad to help you, if I can.
I'm looking for Dorothy Crane, a nurse who lives in this vicinity.
Dorothy Crane. Oh, I love the name. The Crane of Whitechapel. Sounds very mysterious. But, sorry, no, never heard of her.
What can you tell me about an old man called Darius?
Darius Petrescu? Yes, I know him. At first, I thought he was only a small publisher. I invited him to publish my work, but his reaction was pretty clear.
Not interested in your talent?
Darius is an old political activist who takes delight in printing tracts and lampoons. Those communist activities only require mediocre writing skills.
I'll leave you. Darius is a bit less of a mystery now. It should not be that difficult to incite him to let me in.
Morbidity can breathe its own.
哦，所以要开门锁，就是要尽量从另外一边去打开。
Hello again, miss. Tell me about Richard Nethercott. I understand he is quite fond of you, Camellia. Very well.